is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbot.
Hello.
Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
Right, I'm going to try and do the whole show in the manner of Anne Widdecombe. Today, temperatures soared beyond 80 Fahrenheit. Oh, I can't do it. How does she manage to keep that up? Today, temperatures soared beyond 80 degrees Fahrenheit, but they're likely to be among the highest that the UK will see for at least a week. It's over. Figures of around 24 centigrade are expected for most of next week in southern England, which are closer to average for this time of year. And 24 centigrade is in Fahrenheit. I'm going to do some mental arithmetic on the radio.
Oh, no.
24, you double it and add 32. So 24, double 24 is 56. And 56 and 32 is 55 and 6 is 12. And add 32, so that's 12, 32. So it'll be 1,232 degrees Fahrenheit tomorrow. Can you believe that?
No.
In Scotland, temperatures are not expected to be that spectacular, as a cold front moving in from the north brings some rain to the Highlands, eventually reaching northwest England by tonight. And you know what's in between the Highlands and northwest England? I'll check for you while you wait. Glasgow, cloudy tonight and cloudy tomorrow and cloudy on Sunday and cloudy on Monday and raining on Tuesday and cloudy on Wednesday and raining on Thursday and cloudy on Friday and cloudy on Saturday and cloudy on Sunday and cloudy on Monday and raining on Tuesday and cloudy on Wednesday and cloudy on Thursday. No sun. That's like 2 weeks with no sun. But you know, the sun has been terribly overrated. It's not that great. You ain't missing nothing. Meteorologist Craig said for the next 2 days there's going to be no interruptions. It's going to be almost wall-to-wall sunshine. Except for listeners in Glasgow who will have their own weather. But, a huge, giant, wobbling but. Meteorologist Becky said the sunshine won't last for long. Boo! Boo, Becky. If you can't say something nice, just don't say anything at all. She said temperatures will be back down to the mid-low 20s next week, so we won't see anything on the scale of today's temperatures for some time. I am not completely satisfied with this summer so far, and we're about halfway through it. She said next week a cold front will be pushing its way further south. It's a dividing line between the relatively warm weather across the south of the UK and something a bit fresher and closer to something a bit fresher to close out the weekend further north. OK, do you want the long-range weather forecast?
Negative.
It's going to be mostly dry with sunny intervals, but a risk of isolated showers. This is until Tuesday. Dry with hazy sunshine. Hazy, lazy sunshine.
Groovy.
Becoming increasingly cloudy in the west. Temperatures near average. Now, from Wednesday next week until the 19th of July. Now, this is where you start crossing your fingers. Around about this time of the year, if it hasn't been a long stretch of warm weather, you start crossing your fingers. Because if we don't get one soon, it's going to be slightly more unsettled than of late, with outbreaks of rain or showers, possibly heavy at times. Probably becoming a little fresher and more settled into next weekend. Temperatures likely to be a little above average for the time of the year, and locally rather warm, especially in the south. And you think, great. No. Because the second half of July and into August, spells of rain for us all. Turn your face up and it'll be all over you. Heaviest and most persistent in the northwest, where where above average rainfall is possible. Above average rainfall for Glasgow. What? You better buy yourself a boat. 0345 6060 973. Well, shall I get off with the main attraction of the week? I should probably change the word attraction, something more suitable. Anne Widdecombe said that Brexit was comparable to slaves rising up against their owners and had the nerve to whinge about the EU being undemocratic. Just as our next Prime Minister is being chosen for us by a wholly unrepresentative, white, middle-aged and well-off 0.3% of the population. I mean, it's not like it's the first time lately that we, the people, have been presented with our new leader as opposed to electing them. It happened with John Major. It happened with Gordon Brown. Still not missing you, Gordon. It happened with Theresa May, and it's happening now. And we've got the nerve to criticise the ew about how undemocratic they are. I mean, can the people who are saying that out loud actually hear themselves? We're about to have a clown become our leader. I mean, that's the choice that we got at the moment. We got Mr. Bean or Coco the Clown. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
So, by all accounts, we're about to have the clown become our leader because he's the funny bloke off the telly and he's promised to hose down his supporters with money we haven't got. It seems like the game is to just shout the loudest, and Boris Johnson seems to be trying to out-shout Foghorn Farage and his brand-new berserk accomplice, Anne Widdecombe, who looks like she just popped out of a Grimm's Brothers fairy tale. I think she lives in a house made of cake. Look out, Hansel! Watch yourself, Gretel. Anne Widdecombe's the woman who thinks that science might come up with an answer to being gay. She said, the fact that we now think it's quite impossible for people to switch sexuality doesn't mean that science may not produce an answer at some stage. An answer? I didn't realise that was still a question. Let's call it a query, shall we?
No.
She dismissed much of the Me Too movement as trivial whinging.
Stop whining.
She claimed the gender pay gap is very largely a myth. She also denounced all women shortlists and quotas aimed at redressing gender imbalances, and she argued that men, not women, are at a disadvantage in the courts. She also defended wolf whistling. Then she can defend it because, and I'm going out on a limb here, she's never heard it. Maybe she just doesn't know what it sounds like. During the MP's sexual misconduct scandal, she claimed that women were being so wimpish these days, wallowing in self-pity, and claimed that women didn't used to be helpless little snowflakes. She also famously quit the Church of England and became a Catholic, claiming that the last straw for her was when the Church of England decided to ordain women priests. Ugh!
Disgusting.
And during her time as Conservative Prisons Minister in 1996, Anne Widdecombe defended the practice of shackling pregnant prisoners when in hospital. She also previously expressed her opposition to abortion. She voted against measures to stop climate change as an MP. She wrote supporting climate emergency denial, and in 2009 was reported to have said, there is no climate change. Hasn't anybody looked out of their window recently? Oh my God, it's worse than I thought. It's cold outside, therefore there's no climate change. I mean, that makes sense, don't it?
No.
Elsewhere, she's expressed support for private healthcare and as recently as 2016 wrote in support of the death penalty, contradicting the Pope. She up sticks, leaves her church, joins the Catholic Church and then disagrees with his popiness. And according to the site They Work For You, as an MP, she voted for the Iraq War, against investigations into the Iraq War, voted against the smoking ban, against equality and human rights, against an elected House of Lords, and for hereditary peers, and against measures to prevent climate change. Is she crazy, or is it just the way she acts? How do you make your party look even more unhinged? Even more a collection of cranks and kooks and crazies.
We've got a few idiots in our party.
David Lammy, the Labour MP, attacked Anne Widdecombe for comparing the EU to slave owners. He tweeted, "It's impossible to explain how offensive and ahistorical it is for you to equate my ancestors tearing off their chains with your small-minded nationalist project. Shame on you," he said. Well, I think the shame boat has sailed. Sailed and sunk. And you remember the EU's chief negotiator, of Guy Verhofstadt? No! Yes, that's him. He said, priceless. He said, Nigel Farage facing some stiff competition as chief clown of the Brexit party in the European Parliament. He thinks you're a nutcase, Nigel. I wonder why that is.
I'm a nutcase.
Widdicombe also said that in the space of just 2 days, she went fishing. Oh, the amount of nonsense has been spoken about the British fishing industry, you just wouldn't believe it. And people just swallow it whole, like a mackerel. Do people swallow mackerel whole? No, like a Sprite. She said, I'm up against a break. Oh, the amount of stuff that's to get through. I've only got a 3-hour show. So I'll get to that in just a minute. I'll set her straight about fish. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on some of the texts that have come in already, I'll get to those in a second. Laugh out loud. Where was I? 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I have to start from the beginning, because if I stop myself halfway through that, then I can't start halfway through. I have to go back to the beginning. Like the alphabet. I can't start from P, got to start from A. Friday and Saturday night on LBC at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. See, I even screwed that up. Dreadful. I'm very bad at my job.
This is LBC. Is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet @LBC. Text 84850.
This is absolute tosh.
Jackie from Watford says, hi Nick, gotta love Anne. She is a national treasure. What, you mean like a detectorist found her in a field? Get her in the British Museum. Somebody build a vitrine. Lisa said, listen to this pillock on his LBC show, and he just said double 24 is 56. Is it now? Someone teach him quick maths, says Lisa. I don't think I'll ever get tired of doing that. It's like fishing for numpties. Oh, caught another one. And Anderson from Brazil says, if you really want to expropriate our musical treasure from your somehow accurate weather bulletins, try having the girl from Ipanema in the proper manner and tone, says Anderson from Brazil. I think you'll find that it was completely correct in every respect. I have perfect pitch. And Kath in North Wales said, well, where in North Wales, Kath? Is it Prestatyn? She says, please tell me it's not real. She says, hey Nick, I'm loving watching Wimbledon. Are you a fan? I'm off to Ongar next week. No, you're not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not, and no, I'm not. In that order. Catford. Hello, Steve.
Hello, Nick. Yes, my history degree, or A-level, put it that way.
Well, wait a minute. Which is it?
Well,
have you got a degree in history or an A-level? The big difference, huge.
I've got an A-level in history and a degree in English, which really, really has made my life.
Yeah, I bet.
Incredibly.
Very, very useful.
Yeah. I mean, but I did. I mean, I'm starting to doubt it, because I thought aeroplanes were kind of invented in the 19th century, the late 19th century.
Yeah, no, 200 years ago, according to the man who knows everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that has stunned me. Also, that I didn't realise I was a slave, or that you were a slave, or that all my fellow citizens in this great country were slaves.
Slaves of the evil European overlords. Yeah.
Yes. Free movement and of goods, people, and the other thing.
By the way, Donald Trump, he did sound like a robot, didn't he? He didn't sound like himself at all. Somebody had obviously connected him up to the national grid and said, we're going to zap the hair right off you if you stray from the script. And so he was photographed behind a screen that had rain all over it, making the entire thing look incredibly miserable, which was not what he planned for, I bet, when he signed himself up for a big military parade like Vladimir Putin can put on. And he just sounded like he didn't know what he was saying. He's just reading one word after the next with no emphasis or understanding really of what it was he was saying. And he said something like, what was it? It was our troops either protected or took over the airfields 200 years ago.
It was.
But no, he's actually a very smart person.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
And we know that because he's told us so over and over and over again.
But these people that should be consigned to the dustbin of history, these idiots. I mean, Anne Widdecombe, I'm sorry, she's an idiot. And she's a horrible, nasty idiot.
Well, don't sit on the fence, Steve. Tell us what you think.
Well, she is. I mean, for goodness sake, you heard what she said. How?
Yeah, but I also heard the way in which she said it, which, you know, as soon as, no offence, but as soon as she starts to speak, my ears just to close up. You know those flaps on your ears? Well, mine have got the ability now to just shut themselves, like a porpoise.
I mean, I go to France fairly frequently, and and I know some people from that place, and God, they're smart and clever and intelligent, and I
well, maybe you should get a room with one of them,
well,
Steve.
maybe I should. Maybe I should. But I'm deeply embarrassed by that idiot. I mean, I'm sorry, Dan. I don't want to be abusive, but you're an idiot.
Well, this is you not being abusive. Wow. I am stunned.
But you heard it. You saw it.
Yeah. It was just a national embarrassment. I'm embarrassed for us as a country.
Deeply embarrassed.
And Uncle Nige was there grinning like he just won the lottery.
But I think
this is the person that he wants
little
representing his little band. I am stunned.
But even he looked a little bit embarrassed, I have to say.
No, he did not. No, he did not. I think his capacity to be embarrassed left the building a long time ago.
Mm. Yeah, when he didn't have his pint with him, did he? So,
well, his prop, you mean?
But,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But
well, we'll just leave it at that
music?
then. We'll just leave it at that then. You don't know. Where's the music? What music?
I don't know. Well, I'm talking about the music that
Ode to Joy. Yeah, well, I'll get to that in a while. Don't worry about a thing. All right, calm down, Steve. Everything will be all right. Unless it won't. I'm suspecting that it actually won't. I mean, what about the situation that we're going through at the moment makes you believe that everything's going to be all right? I mean, apart from what Boris Johnson said about believing, all you've got to do is believe. Just click your heels together 3 times and you'll be back in Kansas with Toto. Andrew in Streatham says, I think your glamorous assistant is on the ball. We want to hear the radio jingle. We want Brexit, and I am so sorry. And whinging, moaning and whining. What is he talking about? My glamorous assistant is on the ball. What does that mean?
I think he thinks I play the jingles.
Well, because you can see into the future and know where I'm going, so you can set them up. God. Yeah, that's right. Somebody else does this show. In fact, I'm not even here right now. John says, Anne Widdecombe loves Britain. Why are you so unpatriotic? I'm assuming that you're joking, John. Why are you so unpatriotic, Nick? Make Britain great again, says John.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. That's where we're at, isn't it? We're all in Donald Trump's world now. You don't have to make any sense. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to promise anything that you can deliver. Just keep telling people that everything is going to be great and huge and tremendous, and people will think, what, a third of the population will think, hey, you know what? I'd love things to be great and huge and tremendous. Why has nobody promised me that before? And which third of the population?
I love the poorly educated.
Bingo. That's all you need. Just take them with you. Steve says, are you well? I don't know. Define well. Do you mean physically or mentally? Physically, I suppose I'm okay-ish. But mentally, no. It's a no from me. He says, I wasn't impressed with Trump's military parade on the 4th of July. 1, it was not the greatest show on earth. 2, there were no aeroplanes there for no airports in the 18th century. 3, that F-22 Raptor almost lost it during its left turn and narrowly missed hitting the stealth bomber. And on a positive note, Donald Trump does an excellent impersonation of Mussolini. Well, I've said that many, many times. Look at an old picture of, because people bring up the N word, the nasty Nazis. He doesn't look really like Hitler, because Hitler had that sort of clenched fist, very tight, like he was just going to explode with fury thing going on. But Mussolini had that chest out, chin jutted out, just soaking up the applause and the flattery. And it is like Donald Trump's doing an impression. It's that close. I've said that many times. And of course he wants to be a dictator. Of course he does. What do you think, Kanye?
Whoop-dee-dee scoop poop.
Exactly. Should be in jail. What do you think, Melania?
I don't care.
Still doesn't care. John in Sutton says, nationalism is back in vogue. You will be sent to Guantanamo Bay. God bless Trump. That's the alarming thing, isn't it? That I think that where we are at now is that there's a move abroad, by which I mean not abroad, but here, that people just want a dictator. Not a benign dictator either. They want an angry dictator who's going to really give it to the people who don't walk, talk and squawk exactly like they do. I firmly believe that that's what a third of the population actually want. They want a dictator. And who do they want?
I'm a nutcase.
God help us all. Sadly, there's no such thing as God. You heard it here first. That's my personal religious belief, and it's just as good as yours. Monica in Prague says, it's my birthday. I would love to hear that birthday noise you do. Anyway, I'm a Czech national living here for 18 years, and I've never felt so unwelcomed as I do now. Cheer me up. Well, I'd love to play that jingle, but sadly I don't have it to hand. If only I did. And Angela says, thank goodness you're on the radio talking mostly sense, except your maths. There's nothing wrong with my maths. And besides, maths isn't an exact discipline. In fact, there's no discipline to it at all. It's about feelings. We're not interested in facts anymore. There's no such things as facts. It's all about feelings, baby.
Yowza.
It says, keep Widdy bashing. She's a nightmare and is a national embarrassment. Yes, less of a national treasure, more a national embarrassment. I can't believe that anybody would actually want her to represent them on the world stage. Kooks, clowns and crazies. Unless you know otherwise, in which case you must correct me. This in red says, why is it in red?
It's a very good one.
It says, very amusing criticism of the Oxford graduate Anne Widdecombe by the poly-educated Nick Abbot and the exceptionally thick Lammy. I think she's a wonderful, intelligent, brave woman who loves this country. Leave her alone and talk about Tony Blair and his 35 houses or your car, says Mary. As though being an Oxford graduate actually indicates intelligence of any kind. Some of the stupidest people I ever met are graduates. Some of the brightest people I ever met never went to university. What difference does it make where she went to university, or even if she went to university? I'm not talking about what she did when she was 20. And Sue says, just had and besides, I wasn't poly-educated, and even if I was, what difference does that make? Talk about superior. As though being educated in a bog standard comprehensive and going to a polytechnic actually makes you somehow less of a person. But there's a considerable group of people who do actually believe that. Let's call them the Conservative Party. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. Look, it's
Britain's Conversation, LBC, with Nick Abbott.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Well, I hope I'm hallucinating, because this better not be real life. Maria in Richmond-on-Thames says, Doris of Ongar for new Prime Minister. Go, Doris. Yeah, you go, girl. Jimmy says, your maths is worse than Boris Johnson's hair. It was smart for a little while, and then I think that he thought perhaps that he had lost his mojo. Or he thought that he's got it in the bag, and it doesn't really matter whether he smartens himself up or not, because he's back looking like he looks. You look like yourself again, Boris.
Yeah. Wait.
Not a compliment. Jimmy says, oh no, I read that. Jamie says, please upset LBC listeners again by pointing out that 95% of the polls in the last 2 years have shown a Remain lead. That's something over 120 polls. Yeah, I'm sorry to bring the bad news to you, but actually that is completely correct in every respect. It's the will of the people to remain. Never mind, the Remainers aren't shouting loud enough, and we are now being led by whoever can create the most decibels. Well, that would be Anne Widdecombe then. Even Nigel Farage can't shout that loud. Even dogs are covering their ears. Earl's Court. Hello, Alex.
Hi, how are you?
Great, mate.
Anne Widdecombe. I think I'd criticise her for comparing the ECU to the slave. Quite atrocious, don't you think?
It's just a grab at publicity. That's what they do. They barge in, they say something that will get them on YouTube, insult people so that it will go viral, and then scarper, toot sweet.
Is that someone we really need in our
lives? No.
I don't think it is.
No.
She wasn't any good on Strictly, and she can tango her way out of the EU Parliament as well.
Right, okay. I don't watch Strictly Come Dancing or any of those stupid shows, and neither should you. Look out the windows. There's something more enticing and exciting out there, I betcha. Why would anybody watch that stuff? I mean, really, honestly, why would anybody watch that stuff? It just, people. I've met people. I'm not keen. Strictly Come Dancing, for crying out loud. How boring must your life be that you look forward to that every week? Well, Alex, I'll never know. But thanks for the call. Sue said, just had a nightmare thought. Anne Widdecombe singing a duet with Nigel of If I Ruled the World at the next EU gathering. If I ruled the world. Let's have Streatham. Hello, John.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Great, mate.
A few points. I mean, Anne Widdecombe's looking very good for 71. Looks a vision of health. But I wanted to make a bit of a political point, if I could.
Okay.
Yes. I was actually thinking of trialling this with James O'Brien, but he's become such a ferocious debater. I thought, I don't want to embarrass myself. I thought I'd do a trial run with you.
Okay.
Yes. The point is, if Theresa May's deal had been accepted, right, then we wouldn't have had the EU elections, correct?
Yes, I suppose so.
Yes. And then this entire funny spectacle of Uncle Nigel turning his back. And I did think when that was happening, what if one of the Brexit MEPs had just, refused to do that? Was there... Because it needs quite a sort of... authoritarian is probably the wrong word, or maybe the right word. It needs quite an authoritative figure to make sure that they all, in unison, turn their back and, none of them look forward.
Which is it's an old gag, by the way. He's pulled that before. It's nothing new. He's he's repeating old material. Somebody should give him a show.
Well, but I couldn't possibly comment. But the thing is, Theresa May's deal, and this is the point I would have made with James O'Brien, but I was scared to. The point is that Theresa May's deal would have stopped freedom of movement of persons, right?
It would have given us everything that we asked for. Why people are still whining about it, I do not know. It's because they keep saying that it's a trap. It's a trap. It's not a trap. Crying out loud.
I don't think anyone who voted for Brexit, including your mate who calls up each week and goes, Nick, mate, why man, you're such an anti-British fella.
Why don't you love your country, Nick?
He talked about midnight, but I don't think anyone voted for the trade. I'm highly educated, right? I've been to college and everything. I've got
Well, you should have said that right at the beginning. Number 10 is free. When can you start? You're very highly educated.
2 weeks time. But the point is this: none of us knew about the trade deals and all this. People voted out of the EU to stop to stop free movement of people.
Stop being
EU.
surrounded by foreigners, which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not now, not ever, never. But anyway.
No, but I'm saying even if we don't make a value judgment on that, I'm saying people voted for that, for us to be out of the ECJ's jurisdiction.
But they didn't really mean that. They mixed it up with the European Court of Human Rights. That's the part that they don't like, and they don't understand that the two aren't the same. But anyway, go on.
But I'm saying of all the things people voted for, no one was voting for sort of trade deals with Slovakia and the other 26 members.
Nobody thought of any of this.
So I think Theresa May's deal, why was it a bad deal? Because if I can be controversial, not wanting to be controversial, but I'm not one of these people. I'm very liberal, but I don't think Brexit should be overridden as a decision, right? And Theresa May's deal, it would have given us Brexit. Even the great Rory Stewart, whose book I'm currently reading, which is about walking through Afghanistan in 2002, even he said we need a compromise deal. And look, Nick, can I just say this? Look, I'm not racist. Some of my best friends are.
What's going to come next? I bet the word "but" is coming up.
Yeah, I'm not racist. Some of my best friends are racist.
But. But.
Yeah.
Oh no! I'm gripping onto the table. Go ahead.
No, but that was the gag. But yes.
There is no but. Oh, well, thank goodness for that.
Yes. But Theresa May's deal was all right, wasn't it?
It seemed fine to me, and but nobody else. I think there's a cohort of people, of millionaire, if not billionaire, money men who have bet against the economy, and it only will work. That bet will only work for them if we crash out and the pound tanks even more than it has done already. I mean, people have made, I'm not making this up, they've said it out loud, hundreds of millions of pounds. It was a very good day when we voted to leave the European Union, said one of the main backers of this entire fiasco. All right. Yeah. Fiasco. I was trying to think of something more polite than that, but fiasco. Why try to be polite now? I mean, that ship sailed as well. Exactly. He made hundreds of millions of pounds. Can you imagine how much more they'll make if the economy tanks to a greater extent than it already has? And it only will if we crash out with no deal. That's why they want it so much. They're not doing it for us. I mean, since when has a billionaire ever cared about the little people?
And my last point, if I could, my final point is that, a lot of the idiots who, not just your show, but a lot of the idiots who call up phone-in shows in general, who are poor, and I'm not that rich, I've wasted a lot of money in my years.
Who hasn't?
But I'm saying the poorest people who will inevitably follow me, who will be affected by food prices going up. I think Brexit had lots of positives to it. I think, there are lots of leftists, some liberals who voted for us to Theresa May style exit. I'm not one of these people who's like leaving the EU is an unconditionally bad thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a no deal, and no deal will affect the people such as the one who goes, why, man, we want a no deal, we want to starve on our own saliva.
It's called poetic justice, I suppose. Those that voted for it the most, the demographic that voted for us to leave the European Union the most, are going to be those affected negatively the most. Yeah. Those are the people that are going to lose the most. But they've been given hope because their lives aren't as they should be, actually, because there is a terrible distribution of wealth in this country. Yes. It is awful, and I think it continues to get worse. The top 1% have cashed in since the 1970s to a staggering degree. Everybody else has flatlined, while the cost of things, of course, has increased dramatically. So no wonder people are angry, but this is not the solution to that problem. This is the opposite of the solution. But anyway, John, I've got to go. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Let me remind you about my podcast. It's in fact, I've got two to tell you about this evening. One is the thing that I've been talking about on and off for, it seems like a year. I'm going to go back to working with somebody that I used to do a show with, which I'm quite excited about. I'll tell you about that in a moment, because I do want your input on that, but I'll explain more in a while. But my regular podcast, the Nick Abbot Habit, is up. The latest episode is on the World Wide Wait, and there's in among it is a very, very angry cab driver who called to correct me about a thing or two, and plenty else besides. It's a funny one this week. I think you'll like it. The Nick Abbot Habit. It's available on the Global Player app. If you go to your Global, you'll go to your app store, download Global Player, and you'll find that in amongst all the other delights you'll find in there is no end of podcasts. Scroll down to the Global Podcast way over there to the right, and you'll find mine, the Nick Abbot Habit. And if you don't do that kind of thing by phone, then point your internet at it and ask for it by name, the Nick Abbot Habit.
Here on Abbot, on LBC, call 0345 6060 973.
Yeah! Dude!
John says, has LBC changed its name again? Leading Britain's condescension. You've become James O'Brien with sound effects. You and James O'Brien. What you mean, John, is that I said something you disagree with. We can't be Radio Nigel 24 hours a day. Give the man a break. He's working his Union Jack socks off. But you're going to be okay, John. I mean, I know it's upsetting to hear things you don't like. Oh, do you have a safe space? This says, the royal family brings in more visitors to the UK than the British Museum. Where did that come from? It's like a holdover from last week. Did that just come in?
Yeah, he's very angry.
Oh, still angry? Yeah, no, they don't, by the way, whoever that was. It's an anonymous text. The royal family does not bring in more visitors to the UK than the British Museum. That is incorrect. Simon in Catford says, so Anne Widdecombe is pro-life and also supports the death penalty. She'll make sure you're born, but if you do anything wrong, she'll kill you. It's like those Republican pseudo-religious hypocrites in America who are all anti-abortion but for the death penalty. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Either all life is sacred or it isn't. Pick one. It does mean that it's not about saving lives at all. It's about controlling women. That's what that's all about. I mean, one of the proponents of it was asked flat out. He said, what about babies created in test tube babies? Can we kill those? And he said, oh, that's fine, because they're not inside a woman. I mean, talk about shooting yourself in the foot. So there it is, proof positive that it's got nothing to do with saving lives. It's all about controlling women. Tony says, I love the highly overeducated like Anne and Uncle Nige. Keep Widdecombe and carry on. I don't know really what that means, but it fits right in. Shoreham. Hello, Roy.
Oh, hi.
Roy.
Yeah, good show.
Thanks.
Love Island. Why not put all the Tory parties on that island with the, whoever's on that island, and let them work it out? How funny would that be? That would make great TV.
Oh, but would they have to take their tops off?
Disgusting.
Nobody wants to see that.
Absolutely.
No one wants to see that.
Yeah, I know. But hey, it'd be good fun.
Right. Is anything happened in Love Island yet?
I don't know.
I've got no idea either. But there's coverage in the Daily Mail. It just goes on and on and on, like they haven't got anything else to talk about. Holy moly! Is there a lack of news? Thanks a lot, Roy. Terrible idea. Please, members of the Conservative Party, keep your clothes on. What a thought.
Dreadful.
Gurr says, greetings from Ireland. Did you see the new documentary on Anne Widdecombe? Powerful stuff. It's called 12 Years a Tory. No, I did not. I assume you're joking. Michael says, looking forward to your next instalment of an entitled Eton Oxford Bullingdon Club Pretty Boy for PM. What could go wrong? Did I read that wrong? Probably. I'll try it again. Anybody want me to try that again?
No.
Looking forward our next instalment of an entitled Eton Oxford Bullingdon Club Pretty Boy for PM. What could go wrong? It still doesn't make any sense. Well, it sort of makes sense, a little bit, but not close enough. And this anonymous message says, with the greatest respect, Nick, God is real and the second coming is close. Well, with even greater respect, A, you don't know that God's real, and B, you can have no concept that the second coming is close. I mean, if Jesus was to come back and correct us, don't you think he'd have done it by now? I mean, what's he waiting for? Halfway through the Holocaust would have been a good idea, or right at the beginning, perhaps. And James in Guildford says, have you heard the word of God, Nick? No. And neither has anybody else, by the way. Carnforth. Hey up, Annie. Again with this screen. I'll try it again. You can hear me, how hard I'm having to hit it. Carnforth. Hello, Annie.
Yep, Nick, how
there
you doing?
You are. I'm fine.
Good. I just rang up to agree with you about the Brexit Party. It's just full of the same old Cadbury's fruit and nut cases, like UKIP was really, but with a few added extras like Anne Widdecombe and Claire Fox.
Yeah, like they needed extra spice.
Yes, I mean really, Anne Widdecombe, she's rivaling Nigel, isn't she? In complete off the wall, just. And I mean, as far as women are concerned as well, I was thinking, I think we ought to set up a feminist re-education camp, and she'd have to be the first person in it, first woman in it. Just terrible, really.
It's really amazing.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, it is kind of embarrassing. Yeah, the rest of the world must be looking at us thinking a little bit.
Yeah, the whole lot of them. It's just, and then the other two, the two that are vying to be our new dear leader.
Yeah.
I mean,
Coco the Clown and Mr. Bean.
Yes, they're just rivaling each other, trying to come out with saying that they're going to do all this stuff that they spent the last 9 years doing the complete opposite of, like spending on money, money on things that we actually need,
yes.
like social care.
Right, spreading the money about, helping the poor. Yeah.
Yeah, splashing the cash. While at the same time as doing that, spending a lot more on all the stuff we need and paying public sector workers more and all the rest of it.
20,000 more police on the streets, a better NHS, more money for everybody and less tax.
Yes, well, that's what I was just going to say. How are they going to work that with the less tax thing? That doesn't work, does it?
I'm sorry, Annie, but you're just picking nits here. Don't ask them about details. They don't do details.
Well, that's true. And also, I mean, they can say all this now because this isn't a manifesto. They can say what on earth they like. Yeah. But once they get in, that's it. It'll all just go out of the window.
Please disregard everything I've ever said on any subject. It wasn't me. I wasn't there. Had nothing to do with me. It weren't me, Governor.
That's right. They'll just revert to being exactly how they were before. Like Jeremy Hunt will just go back to wanting to privatise the health service and make the doctors work even harder and harder, so they're all leaving. And Boris will just go around stumbling around the world being a complete idiot and embarrassing us and probably starting a nuclear war or something just because he said the wrong thing, or
maybe with America.
I'll bring us into war.
Yeah.
We've already formed a tight line behind Donald Trump as far as going to war with Iran is concerned. We seem to have been co-opted into his next war.
But we always are, aren't we? I mean, every time the Americans, well, with the exception of Vietnam, actually, every time the Americans go to war, we're just there, aren't we?
Like their little lapdogs.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure we'll be in there,
trailing around behind them with our tongue out, desperate to, go fetch a stick or whatever it is that whoever is leading that country at the time wants us to do.
Well, even more so now that we're going to be out of Europe and absolutely desperate for a trade deal. We'll be crawling around.
We'll be crawling across the carpet like a dog to prostrate ourselves in front of Donald Trump to give him anything he wants. And there is no limit to what Donald Trump wants.
No, exactly. And, all this nonsense about, we're going to get such a great trade deal with America. I mean, who are they kidding? Donald Trump isn't going to do a great trade deal with anybody, let alone us, because we're going to be this piddling insignificant little country on our own.
Everything that we do, America does as well. And if we know anything about Donald Trump, is that he wants to make a big song and a dance about doing right by the American worker. And so what do we manufacture? Cars. What's the biggest bee in Trump's bonnet? The import into America of European-made cars. The other thing we do is petrochemicals, which he also has a big thing about protecting. So and the financial services industry. That's his third big thing. So the three things that we concentrate on are the three things that Donald Trump has put his entire political reputation on defending from outside competition. So I don't know who we think we're kidding. Apart from anything else, America is our biggest trading partner already, and the tariffs between us are virtually non-existent already. So I don't see where these people are assuming that we're going to increase our income after we leave the European Union by striking a trade deal with America, because it can barely get any better than it is already. But, people will say things like that, and the lumpen proletariat will think, oh, yeah, that's right, because we don't do any trade with America because of Europe. That's the story that is put forward, and nobody checks. Nobody's remotely interested in facts or detail. They just nod their heads and go, yeah, that's right. Thank goodness for Nigel and Anne, and we'll be able to make our country great again.
Well, perhaps Anne could take over your show with sound effects. I'm sure that person that emailed in, I'm sure he'd be absolutely delighted.
Anne Widdecombe is a sound effect. So, thanks a lot, Annie. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. So I do want to mention this new podcast that I'm going to be doing on top of the one that I'm already doing. I've got the Nick Abbot Habit, which is out there and available at this moment. The new one just hit the internet today. But I've got another one coming up, and I'd like your input. And I'm going to be teaming up with somebody I used to work with, which I'm very excited about. I'll tell you about that in a minute.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
What's he got to be depressed about?
It's either going to be, I'm going to muster up my British politeness and just say no. Or that's our choice. Well, we don't even get to choose, of course. It's selected for us. Actually, probably a good thing that we don't get to choose. I mean, could you choose between those two? Ugh. Gavin in Caterham says, Anne Widdecombe, comes across as a deeply embittered woman who has lived her life constrained by religious dogma. Just saying, says Gavin. Claire in Dudley says, I voted Leave. I would never have voted for No Deal. I'd rather revoke, says Claire. Nobody voted for No Deal. Nobody even thought about a deal. We just were persuaded by what was written on the side of a bus. Some lies about we'll give you more money, which is exactly what the two candidates to be our next drear leader are doing now. They're going to hose us down with cash. Don't ask them where they're going to get it from, because, that would be impolite. Nobody's interested in details or facts anymore. We're all about feelings now, baby. Let's take a call in Ashford. Hello, Ian.
Good evening, Nick.
Ian.
Yeah, just listening to the news thing and what you just been saying. A good friend of mine actually has a saying about choosing between Hunt and Boris, and that's basically, what do you want, Ebola or bubonic plague? And it's getting to that sort of stage now, isn't it?
Which disease would you like?
And it's pretty ridiculous. In fact, Mr. Johnson is having one of his campaign team come to Ashford on Monday. It's the delightful Dominic Raab. I'm surprised he's actually managed to find his way to Kent, bearing in mind he didn't know the importance of the Dover-Calais crossing.
Yeah, priceless.
Yeah, might have to go and pay him a visit with
So Boris is going to Ashford, is that what you said?
No, Dominic Raab.
Oh, right. Okay.
On behalf of Boris.
On behalf of, right, not as well as, right.
Well, no, but Boris came to get to somewhere in Kent last week, or earlier in the week, didn't he? Went to a garden centre and got booze and things. So...
Some people go to a garden centre to get booze. He went to a garden centre and got booed.
Boo!
Yeah, maybe someone misread the memo.
Sounds like a fair comment to me, though.
Yeah, I suppose so. All right, I got to go, Ian. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. Terry in Barking says, if we crash out with no deal, can we put tariffs on Anne Widdecombe? You could take all the tariffs off. I can't imagine there'd be customers. Brian in Peterborough says, just spent an evening with friends from both Italy, England and the Ukraine. All agree we should leave. Well, to be fair, the people from Italy and Ukraine probably can't wait to see the back of us. I mean, might that be it? And what's that going to do with anything? 3 people agree that we should leave. So, that's it? We're leaving? And Robin Chelmsford says, your previous caller is spot on. The Tory leadership race is an arms race of ridiculous promises. I'm just waiting for Boris to make a promise to cure cancer, then no doubt Hunt will match him. Those two, honestly, it's just... and that our politicians have the nerve to say that the European Union is undemocratic. Like Anne Widdecombe said that. Her maiden speech. She said that in the space of just 2 days, she's already witnessed the powers that be deciding to reduce the permissible side of the mesh used in fishermen's nets, thereby reducing their income by 40%, she said. Except she didn't say it like that. She said, in the space of 2 days. And who but billionaires could swallow that drop in income, she said. What she didn't say was that our fishing rights were sold by us to billionaires. I mean, come to think of it, I mean, I don't mean any offence by this, but Anne Widdecombe looks like something that was brought up from the deep in a fishing net. One of those creatures that defies categorisation. Have you ever seen anything like this before? And that new role, she was going on about mesh size, by the way, of fishing nets, is to reduce the capture of juvenile fish, to minimise environmental harm. But as we know, Anne Widdecombe doesn't believe in protecting the environment or nature, which is understandable considering what nature has done to her. No offence. But if you catch all the juvenile fish, then they don't grow to be bigger fish. And they don't have hot piscine sex with each other.
Disgusting.
And then there's no fish at all. That's what the rule about the size of the mesh in the nets is to avoid. Protecting the human race from the destruction of the fish that flow by us. And you know, we hear so much rot about the fishing industry. It's been used as an example of why we should leave the EU. Blooming foreigners telling us what we can do and not do, impoverishing our brave lads at sea. And that's all complete garbage, but it's repeated often enough that people believe it. In March this year, Greenpeace, they published another piece about how the British fishing industry has destroyed itself with no help at all from the EU. And this is not even a news story. This is old news. They said the decline of the British fishing industry began some years before the EU's common fishing policy took effect. The problem is decades of mismanagement by UK governments which have seen fishing rights first commodified, then consolidated in the hands of a small and wealthy elite. Because successive UK governments took decisions that encouraged and then liberalised trade in fishing rights. See, boats used to get the right to fish based, it's very complicated and boring, based on what they used to catch. But they could trade it. See, the British government, as is its wont, decided to make those things into commodities. Not to be kept by the individual fish owner, but you had the ability to sell them. And then guess what happened? But don't believe me, believe Barry Diaz. He's the chief executive of the National Federation of Fishing Organisations. He said when licences were made transferable, they were made tradable. He said from then on, economics have had their full flow. And now, after years of trading the quotas, the result is as you'd expect. The 5 largest quota holders control more than a third of the UK fishing quota. 4 of the top 5 belong to families on the Sunday Times rich list. And the 5th is a Dutch multinational which controls about a quarter of England's fishing quota. Not because they stole it from us, but because we sold it to them. Around half of England's quota is ultimately owned by Dutch, Icelandic or Spanish interests. They didn't steal it, we sold it to them. In Northern Ireland, more than half the country's quota is hoarded onto a single trawler. One boat. It's worse than that, though. More than half of the top 25 quota holders have directors, shareholders or vessel partners who were convicted of offences in Scotland's £63 million blackfish scam. That huge, sophisticated fraud that saw trawlermen and fishing processors work together to evade quota limits and land 170,000 tonnes of undeclared herring and mackerel. It's the super-rich and the criminal class. So fishing quotas that used to be available to lots of individually operated boats got sold to big operators, the people with the money to buy such things, who were often abroad. We didn't have our fish taken from us. We sold it for a quick profit. It's the British way. Just look at the railways and the gas and the electric and the water, all vital to the health of the nation, all flogged for a short-term gain. It seems to be what we do. And the state of the British fishing industry isn't the fault of the EU. It's totally down to us and our government changing the rules to benefit the criminal, the crooked, and the super rich. It's all about the money, honey. Ain't got nothing to do with the fish. But that's not what you hear from the usual suspects. They'll say that the evil EU overlords have stolen our fish from us because it plays well with the people who don't know anything about it. They just nod and think, yeah, that's right. We've been done down by the European Union. But if they didn't take it, we sold it to them. Marion says, hi, Mr. Glamorous Assistant. Heard Nick say that he's going to work with someone he used to work with. I really hope he is still going to be in on Friday and Saturday nights. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Oh, my God. Stockton-on-Tees. Hello, Brian.
Hey, I'm getting all excited, Nick.
Why's that?
2.5 weeks' time, they're going to crown Boris. Our Boris.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't wait for it.
Our unelected next leader, who will be answering to an unelected head of state and overseen by an unelected upper house. Thank goodness we're getting our democracy back.
Nick, don't start on that. Christine Lagarde, come on. We know Christine Lagarde, don't we? You know her.
Well, what do you know about her?
That's the woman who they wheeled in before the Brexit vote with Obama, isn't it? She come out, she said, IMF she is. She was.
That's right.
And in the Monetary Fund. And she said, vote to leave and you'll lose thousands of jobs. Businesses will crash.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
No, that's incorrect to say that nothing happened, Brian. Do you get the news where you are? The pound is between 15 and 20% down.
Let's talk about Christine Lagarde.
Look, wait a minute. You're just exactly like Nigel Farage and all that lot. You just throw out an incorrect point, and then you just continue to... Or Trump does the exact same thing, and then you continue to barrel forwards while people are saying, well, hang on a minute, that wasn't right. But in the meantime, you've said 10 other things that aren't right. It's just by loudness of argument and continuing to speak that you win. And it's just... I just can't take it anymore.
You're going to let me back in, are you?
Well, it sounds like you.
Christine Lagarde. She's been investigated. She's put in charge of a bank, the European Bank.
Let's go back to what you said before. That she said that we would lose jobs.
How has she got the job, Nick? She's been investigated for £300 million, and she got found guilty of it. And she's got the job. I don't know about the other 3 or 4, but it's a joke. You're going on about our unelected. Come on. You know. Right. You get the Boris Johnson all the time.
Wait a minute.
You call an old woman a pensioner.
You see exactly what I'm talking about. he'll throw out an assertion like how ridiculous it is for us to talk about, for me to say that we are that our next leader is not going to be elected, but it isn't. Our next leader isn't going to be elected. Our last leader wasn't elected either.
Getting elected by
0.3% of the population, a completely unrepresentative sample, Brian.
Look, I'm not a Conservative. I haven't got a party, right? But it is a better way of giving it to the country. Like
you can't possibly be defending being a new leader being installed without being elected. You can't possibly on the one hand criticise the European Union for being undemocratic and then support the undemocratic rising of our new leader, put there by a white, middle-class, well-off elite.
You keep calling Boris Johnson all the time, right? All the time. And it shows you what a thin thing you're having him. You're going back 17 years when he said about watermelon smiles and picking 17 years ago in a paper article and things like that. It shows.
You brought it up.
But you and people like you keep coming out with it. It shows you what...
Again, it's throwing out lies. I don't keep coming out with it. You just brought it up, Brian. You brought it up to criticise me for saying it, but I didn't. You did.
Yeah, but a lot of people are. You know that, Nick.
Oh, a lot of people. Like who?
I mean, you had Chuck Ramone run a couple of days ago. And in the end,
yeah, but it wasn't just that one thing, though, was it, Brian? As you know full well, it was a succession of they call them gaffes, but it's just being stupid and rude about people for commercial gain. That's why he was doing it, because it sells columns to people who already hold those opinions. I mean, it delights the Telegraph readers to. Say racist things like that because that's what they think.
I can't.
But it wasn't just an isolated incident. It's like one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. And is somebody supposed to draw a line under everything they've ever said and said, and to suggest that we shouldn't take that into account when we're judging them as a person? Please disregard everything I've ever said or done. I'm going to start afresh now. Is that your position?
Yeah. I can't wait until he becomes Prime Minister, personally, because I'll tell you what, all the others are boring.
Okay, all right. All the others are boring. That's what you want from our next Prime Minister, somebody who's entertaining. For crying out loud, Brian. Turn on the TV. You'll be amused. But Claudia Winkleman won't necessarily be our next Prime Minister. I just want to be amused. Holy moly. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC Conversation. LBC with Nick Abbott.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Sadly, yes. Jerry says, is Brian your new podcast partner? Is what that guy I was just talking to? Is he my new podcast partner? Oh God, I'd refuse to come to work. Every week I'd be on the phone saying, "I just can't come in this week." God, wouldn't that be awful? I wonder what he used to do for a living. I mean, I'm assuming he doesn't work now because he seems to spend his entire week just preparing for the to call me. What can he have done for a living? And what must it have been like working with him? I can't imagine. Marion says, I heard Nick say he's going to work with someone he used to work with. I really hope... I've read that. Giles in London says, just for a bit of balance here. Balance? Nobody's remotely interested in balance. He says, can you remind me how Gordon Brown was installed into number 10? Yeah, I've said that already. He was delivered unto us. Still not missing you, Gordon. Yeah. And so it was Gordon. John Major was delivered to us that way. And so was Mrs. M, of course. And so is our next Dreer leader. Going to be unveiled rather than actually elected by the people in the cradle of democracy.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Stunning. Tom says, came here on Alistair Campbell's recommendation. Great show, very happy. There you are, you see. Another satisfied customer. And Pauline Lewisham says, no matter how much you try to bemoan, or demean rather, the Brexit party, that party speaks for an awful lot of people. We've done it your way and O'Brien's way for years in this country, to the detriment of the people of the country. That's rubbish, Paul. It's not been to the detriment of the people in this country. It's been to it's been all positive. You just don't know that yet because we ain't left. Although you can look around at the smoking ruins of what used to be our pound, the pound in your pocket, and some of our major industries, and you can tell already what's going to happen because it's happened already. It's not like nothing's happened since the referendum. He says, anyway, it goes on and on and on. He says, now people have voted for a change, and that change is to leave the EU. All your rage and anger over the past 3 years, and similarly that of James O'Brien, has done nothing to reverse the situation. Just accept it, calm down, and watch your blood pressure. You're not getting any younger, Nick. Well, nobody is, Paul. Unless you know something I don't. If you found the secret. It's not rage, and it's not anger. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that people are so gullible. Holy moly, I should be out in the street selling people genuine made-in-China Rolex watches. This country is full of people that are so gullible. I've got a holiday home in Miami I'd like to sell you. How about the promised Philip for the NHS? How's that going, by the way?
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah. Nobody wants to associate themselves with that. We ain't even left yet, and everybody's saying, bus? What bus? We never saw any bus. Graham in Rochester says, people from Italy and the Ukraine want us to leave. I thought Brexiters didn't like foreigners telling them what they should do. Well, yeah, there is that. Yeah. Let's have a call in Banstead. Anne.
Hi, Nick.
Anne.
I voted leave, and now I wish I hadn't. I wish I voted remain.
God, I've heard that so many times.
For purely selfish reasons.
Yeah.
My son was really, really ill, and moving to Spain, up in the mountains, with other Brits that are over there, has saved his life.
In what way?
He was a heroin addict, Nick.
What, you can't get heroin in Spain?
Nick, it's not funny. Come on now.
Well, how did
Really
moving to Spain cure him of being an addict?
Because he went through rehab. He was at death's door because he relapsed, okay? And one of his friends who made it through rehab, who lives in the wilderness in Spain, has taken him over there. And within a couple of months, I've got my son back, who would be dead now if he was still here. So I'm just worried now. When Brexit kicks in, what's going to happen? Have our people all got to come home, or what's going to happen when Brexit? You tell me. You're more educated than me.
I don't know nothing, Anne. Nobody does anymore. We've got no idea what's going to happen. He'll probably be able to stay over there, but we don't know, do we?
The reason people voted Brexit, Nick, is because it affected working class people, and that's why they.
What do you mean it affected them?
Well, being with Europe, we were competing for jobs with people, and
we're going to be competing with jobs with people from all over the world from now until the end of time, until the planet blows up. We're going to be competing with people internationally for jobs.
Yeah, but our wages are low, Nick.
That's got nothing to do with the European Union, Anne.
No, I know. That's why I'm talking to you. You seem to know more about it than I
don't know anything about anything. Trust me. On that, I am absolutely certain.
Well, anyway, on the subject of Boris and Jeremy, I don't think either of them are fit to govern. But I suppose we should have Boris because Jeremy desecrated the NHS, didn't he, when he was the health minister? So what do we do? What do we do?
He desecrated it. I had no idea.
Yeah, he tried to shut down Lewisham A&E and things like that, and he's just telling people what they want to hear.
Yeah, well, they both are. You think that the NHS is safe in Boris's hands?
No, I don't. I don't think anybody from any party is fit to govern our country, quite frankly.
No one?
No, I think we're in crisis, I really do, and I feel like joining my son in Spain, to be honest.
OK, I'll see you at the airport. Pack some sunscreen. Thanks a lot, Anne. 0345 6060 973. Nobody is qualified to run this country. Like, at all? There must be someone, surely. How about whoever is running the Liberal Democrats at the moment? Does anybody have any idea who that is?
No.
I mean, I know they're having a moment and all, but who's actually in charge of that party and what do they believe in? We used to know, and then Nick Clegg hoved into view, and but it's not your fault, Nick. It's all your fault. Still, he's doing very well for himself. Mystifyingly. How did he get that job, by the way? What were his qualifications, I wonder? This says, great to hear Brian winds you up. He winds everybody up. He's a troll. Back under your bridge, troll. It's great. It's great. Can't you let him stay longer? No. He calls every single show. Every show. He called Friday and Saturday last week. I just didn't put him on because I can only take so much. But he is one of those people who will say something that's wrong, and then, like Donald Trump, he does this exact same thing. He'll say it, tell a lie, and then by the time journalists have got around to fact-checking the first thing that he says, he's told 20 other lies, and so you just give up. Impossible, man. Absolutely impossible. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. Just past 11:30, the news headline.
Abbott on LBC.
Okie dokie.
0345 6060 973. I'm just going to take a moment to tell you about what I'm going to be doing next. I'm teaming back up with Carol McGiffin. We're going to be doing a podcast called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which we will try to solve your problems. Now, we put quite a few of them in the can, as they say in the business already, with the problems that have been suggested by people that we know. But we want your problems. Now, keep in mind that this is not a serious endeavour, and we won't be treating your problems very seriously, so don't call in about, I've got a bad back, my lumbago's doing me head in. Nothing like that. But any kind of problem that you would like, if you want us to tackle, then we'd be delighted to hear from you. And I've got a special email for that. If you want to hear us tackle your problem, it's nickandcarol@global.com. We'll be getting to them as soon as we can, and the first episode will be hitting the internet shortly, and I'll tell you all about it when it does. But it's going to be me and Carol McGiffin. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? If you want us to tackle your problem, then we'd be delighted to hear from you. And the email address for that is nickandcarol@global.com. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
0345 6060 973. Here is an important call in Wimbledon. Hello, Barbara.
Hello.
Barbara.
Hello, yes.
Hello, yes.
Who am I speaking to?
Who am I speaking to?
It's Barbara.
Barbara. Is it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Can you prove it?
Am I talking to Nick Abbott?
Yes, Barbara.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry. I just switched off the radio. I'm sorry. I wasn't aware of it.
Wait
Nick,
a minute. You turned me off, but you called anyway?
I turned off the radio just to be able to speak to you. Nick, I must tell you one thing. I've been listening to you for the last 4 months.
Yes.
And it struck me that, and I apologize for the use of the words, but you struck me as someone who, a little bit of a clown.
A clown, yeah.
A clown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I just didn't like your way you talk about on the radio and this silly remarks and everything.
Yeah. But wait a minute. You've been listening to me for 4 months and you've only just figured that out?
Sorry? Yes, I've been listening to you for 4 months. Yes,
and you've only just realised that you don't. And you've only just realised that you don't like the show. 4 months you've been listening.
Yes, because
you're a bit slow on the uptake, Barbara. I mean, how long does it take you to make your mind up about something? Crying out loud.
Yeah,
4 months.
What I want to tell you, Nick,
yes,
is that the first time today I've heard your saying, and I've never heard it before.
What saying?
That you said that we, that is UK,
yeah,
we actually sold our rights to fisheries.
Yes.
Right? And I've never heard it say from anyone else. I was never aware of a factor.
Right. Well, it's all there. If you just looked it up, Barbara, then taking Nigel Farage's word, just look it up. It's available on an internet near you. Have you got the internet where you live?
Of course I do. Of course I do. But I've never heard. I remember Nigel Farage talking about the fisheries,
yes,
and all other politicians, and saying as soon as we come out of the European Union, we'll be able to claim our rights
and blah blah blah,
whinging and whining and moaning.
I've never heard anyone saying
right. But so you just took on board everything that he said as though it was the truth.
But why should I believe you, Nick?
Look it up, Barbara.
Where does your information coming? Where is it coming from? Your information about?
If you look it up on the internet, Barbara, then you wouldn't be asking me. Look with your eyes, not your mouth.
Please do not be rude.
I'm not being rude. This is excellent advice, Barbara. For from now until the end of time, you will never hear a better piece of advice. Look with your eyes, not your mouth.
May I please ask you? Okay, if you're right. So may I please ask you, what are the benefits of us staying in the EU?
Free trade with the largest trading bloc in the world.
Free trade, okay, but aren't you aware of a factor that we've been told for many, many months that, or if not years, that there is a high percentage of people living on the breadline in the UK.
Yeah. You think that's going to be improved by us leaving the European Union?
Absolutely.
How?
So if that is the case, which you agree with...
How?
Well, exactly. This is the question I want to ask you. How? Why is it that we are part of the EU, which is supposed to be so great for this country?
Yes.
Why are we... Why do we have...
Really, is your question... Let me just skip ahead to the end of your question. Is your question, if the European Union is so great, why isn't my life perfect? Is that your question?
No.
Yes.
My question is, why is it so beneficial for us to stay within EU, which have been for years, when we have so many people living on the breadline?
Yeah, exactly what I just said. If the
European
Union is so great, why isn't my life perfect? That's your question, isn't it?
No.
Yes.
Nick, I do not care about your life being perfect. What I'm saying is...
No, I don't mean my life. I mean you saying my life, as in your life.
No, you...
God, I thought that was
use
understood.
The word my life. I'm not saying about my life or your life. I'm saying
this
in
is not about you.
Terms, if European Union is so good...
It's so great. Why isn't life perfect?
Why do we have so many people living on the breadline?
Why isn't life perfect? Yeah, that's not going to be improved by leaving the European Union, Barbara. It's called...
Is it going to be improved
life
by
isn't
staying?
fair. Get used to it.
Is it going to be improved by staying within the EU? Just tell me that.
It will be less disadvantageous for us to leave. No, wait. For less disadvantageous for us to stay. There you go. Things will be better off if we stay than if we leave, Barbara, and that's been proven already by the effect.
How do you know that?
But it's been proven already by the effect that.
How do you know that?
Listen to me. It's going to be It's been proved already by the effect that it has already had on the economy.
But our economy is doing great.
Is it?
In fact,
based
yes,
on what?
It's doing better than in Germany or France.
And what leads you to that assertion, Barbara?
It's not the assertion, Nick. If you happen to read...
Don't tell me this is something else that Nigel Farage said.
If you happen to read foreign press from France on any other European Union countries, you know that some countries are really struggling. I'm not even going to mention Greece, which is completely bankrupt at the moment.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the European Union either. That's the special way in which the Greeks used to lead their financial lives.
So are you telling to me that all these people who are really living on the breadline in Greece, nothing to do with the European Union?
No, it's the ridiculous, financially inept way that the Greeks used to lead their lives.
All right, so it's very okay. So please tell me, why is it that 50% of the young Spaniards between the age of 18 and 24 are unemployed?
That has nothing to do with the European Union either.
Nothing to do with the European Union.
Well, explain to me how it does have something to do with the European Union.
So what? Yes.
No, but tell me why? What is it about what the European Union is doing that has caused that to happen? Tell me. You don't know.
Can you repeat that, please?
No, not really. What you're saying is that everything that is wrong with life is the fault of the European Union. That is your assertion, in a nutshell. Yeah.
Because European Union...
Well, that's I'm sorry to be rude here, Barbara, but that is an asinine suggestion.
The European Union is not really the European Union as we think it is. European Union, de facto, it's the union, it's a Franco-German union. And
apart from all of the other countries, it's all about France and Germany, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you do not accept
margin for error there, 100%, you say.
But I'm actually, it happened to disagree with you, and I'm saying you're ignorant.
Well,
and I would say to
Barbara,
you,
that makes you wrong then, doesn't it?
Read foreign press. Find out what's happening in each individual country within the European Union.
You don't need to read the foreign press to find out what is happening in other countries, Barbara. It's called international news. We cover it here.
Great. So obviously you don't actually pay much attention.
I pay an enormous amount of attention.
Enormous amount of attention, and you're coming with all this nonsense. You're coming.
No, when you say nonsense, you mean it's something that you disagree with, or rather, it's not even something that you've made a conscious decision on one way or the other. It's just that you've heard your favourite politician say that it's this way, and it creates a noise in your brain to hear something that suggests that you got it the wrong way round.
About the European Union. Who's paying you to do that?
Who's paying me to support the European Union?
Absolutely.
Because nobody can say anything positive about the European Union without actually being paid money.
Yeah, obviously someone must be doing that. Because you're all for.
Barbara, in moments of quiet contemplation, when you're sitting in a darkened room with a bucket on your head, are you hearing this noise between your ears? We're following that lady. This entire country has decided that lady is the person that we want to follow.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
I am stunned. But it was a delight talking to you, Barbara. You know...
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Hear Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I enjoy working with people.
Yeah, not just not that last one, that's all. Although that was fantastic. Oh, she was a breath of fresh air, wasn't she? I feel like I've had my tubes cleaned. 0345 6060 973. I bet that she's going to be featuring in a forthcoming podcast. I bet she does. I've got a podcast that comes out every week. It's the best of this show and some extra bits as well. And I just double bet with the cherry on top that nice lady that I was just shouting with will be featuring in amongst one of them. It's called the Nick Abbott Habit, by the way. It's a half an hour of amusement. I think you'll like it. If you like this, then you'll love that because it's concentrated funny. And it's available on Global Player, which is the app that we have here. There's so much on that app. It really is a marvellous thing. You can listen to any of the stations that we do here, and they're so numerous. I've only got a 3-hour show, so I can't list them all. But Capital and Heart and Classic FM, of course. and X and all of the rest of them. You can hear all of those through it. You can listen back to shows that have already gone out, and you can hear podcasts. If you scroll down to or you press the podcast button and then scroll down to the Global Podcast, then all the way over to the right, you'll find the one called The Nick Abbott Habit. And it's like I said, it's just the best of this show concentrated down into 30 minutes. I think you'll love it. If you don't to do that kind of thing by apps, then it's available. You just point your pewter at it and ask for it by name, The Nick Abbott Habit. Pamela says, Brian from Stockton, the fellow that's, why don't you love your country, Nick? That guy. He says he calls other shows every night and says the same old tosh to everyone. He's excruciating, says Pamela. Tosh, you say?
This is absolute tosh.
Chris says, great news about the podcast. Carol's a gem. First problem is to stop Brexit. Well, don't tell Carol that, because she's all for it. We don't agree. Carol McGiffin and I don't agree on anything, which makes it funny. So let me remind you about that again. There's a podcast coming up. It's going to be called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? And we want to deal with your problems. So a problem of any nature at all, there's a special email address to send your problem to, and we'll try and cover your problem and solve it for you in a forthcoming podcast. And the email address is Nick and Carol, not ampersand, but spelt out, Nick and Carol @global.com. And I thank you in advance.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. James says, how about Bonkers Barbara, that nice lady I was just talking to, teams up with Anne Widdecombe for a podcast? Can you imagine? Croydon. Hello, John.
Oh, hello, Nick. Don't knock it, mate. It's good radio.
I guess so, yeah.
Right, let me get this right. Are you complaining that you've not got a say in the next leader of the Conservative Party, and therefore that's not democratic?
No, the next Prime Minister of this country.
The next Prime Minister of this country. OK, let's say it's Boris. Let's say they then have a general election, the Conservatives win, but Boris loses his seat.
Yes.
Do you want another general election?
If he loses his seat.
Let's say this. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Go on.
Let's say the sitting Prime Minister, unfortunately dies. Do you then want another general election?
What's your objection? What is your objection to having another general election? That you've got to traipse down to the polling booth again? Oh, poor you! It's only 300 yards away. It's down where the school is.
Nick, it's the reason why they're all voted by their constituents. All they're doing is choosing a leader amongst themselves.
But your assertion, John, is that the country would be going in the exact same direction under Theresa May as it would under Boris Johnson. Is that true?
Well, he's not there yet, so we don't know, do we?
Yes, we do know. A ridiculous thing to say.
Yes, we
right?
do,
Okay. So you agree with me? So we are being delivered unto us a brand new direction for the country without the people having any say in it of any kind. Correct?
Well, we've had our say. We've voted.
No, we have. Yeah, we voted for Theresa May last time.
We?
Yes, we voted. The country voted for Theresa May. She's the one that was elected by a very small margin as our Prime Minister. It was her that we wanted to lead by a small margin. Of course, nobody voted for Boris Johnson to be the Prime Minister with everything that goes with that. I mean, he's charging in the opposite direction to Theresa May. Don't you think that the people should have a say in that? In this great democracy of ours?
Are you saying then that you're only voting for the leader of whichever party? So if you're a Labour voter, you're voting for Jeremy Corbyn and not your local MP?
Yeah, I know that it's your local MP technically that you're voting for, but I bet that most people have got no idea who their local MP is. They wouldn't be able to pick them out of a lineup. So you are actually voting for the head of the party because that's the person that is going to be dictating the direction of the country. And the direction can be changed wildly, even though it is putatively the same party that is going to be leading us. It's the same name of the party, but all the people are going to change. But Boris Johnson's not going to have anybody in the cabinet, he said, that is against leaving with no deal. That's what he said. Now, if that's not a great and dramatic change of direction, then I don't know what is. And the people will have absolutely no say in it whatsoever, John. It doesn't really make any difference whether it's still going to be the Conservative Party. It's going to be a different party entirely.
Any company, a board of directors choose one amongst themselves to be the chairman.
This is not a company, it's a country.
It's a similar concept.
It's not similar at all, it's totally different.
Okay. All right, let's agree to disagree. I don't want
we'll agree that I'm right. We'll agree, at least we can agree that I'm right and you're wrong. It's not a company, it's a country. Companies can be run along dictatorial lines. It's a bad thing generally when countries are run along those lines. I mean, companies can be tremendously successful under a single overseer, but that generally creates a negative outcome if that's the way you run a country. There's a thing called the History Channel. It will bring you up to speed, John. I can't believe that anybody would defend that. While we are, as a nation, decrying the supposedly undemocratic nature of the European Union, which is just silly and stupid and ignorant thing to say because it's extremely democratic, way more democratic than we are, actually. I mean, think about it. Our next leader is going to be unelected, who will answer to an unelected head of state and be overseen by an unelected upper house. Point to the democratic part of that scenario, I double dare you. Steve in South London says, hi, Barbara. That nice lady I was talking to some moments ago. She says, I've just fallen off my chair with laughter and then had a small gaseous personal accident. Well, we don't wish to know that. Awful.
Disgusting.
But I do take full responsibility. Ian says, I reckon Barbara's phone call will be a useful source of sound bites. For example, I don't care about your life being perfect. Who am I talking to? And of course it is. Oh, I'm going to cut her up all right. She's going to be all over this show like a rash. I'll be hosing her all over this programme. And David says, liberals, are you calling me a liberal? Who are you calling a liberal? He says, liberals always claim they stand up for the rights and choice of the individual, but as soon as the individual is given the right of making a choice in a referendum, liberals want to overturn it. Go figure, says David, adopting a superior mean. Well, the thing about the referendum was it was stolen. They overspent, the Leave side overspent by 10% and won by 3%. Coincidence?
No.
I don't think so. Plus, all of that money that came in, we still don't know where it came from. I mean, we can guess. But we don't know because the government seems ill at ease with looking into it. Probably because of a concern about what they might find. Too embarrassing. It was stolen. I mean, that's not even to mention the millions of targeted adverts. You're trying to tell me that those had no effect whatsoever? Advertising doesn't work? Oh, come on. Coca-Cola, 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 Coca-Cola. Don't you want a Coca-Cola right now?
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't a fair referendum. But, you know, we're past that and nobody seems to care anymore. The stealing of democracy is complete. And it's not unpatriotic to say so. I do love my country. Aaron in the Isle of Wight says, planning a trip to Stockton-on-Tees. Perhaps Brian could recommend some sites for an unpatriotic Remainer. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. And I still have...
This is LBC from
1212 from
leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Want to score some pot? one of your fans!
Jeremy Hunt. I mean, is he trying to make us laugh? I'm going to summon up all of my British politeness, and I'm just going to say no. I'd like to see a fight between Jeremy Hunt and Nicola Sturgeon. My money's on you, Nicola. You go, girl. Is it appropriate for me to say you go, girl, to a head of state?
No.
No. Or anybody else for that matter?
Negative.
Anthony in Greenwich says, Nick, it is desperately sad, but you are really losing it, mate. Well, is it any wonder? Really, what I have to put up with. He says, you're starting to sound like a blinkered fool who sees no wrong with the EU elite. I expect you think FIFA isn't corrupt too. All organisations are corrupt. If they last long enough, then corruption will set in. Of course. But do you seriously think that a government of this country, without being overseen by any higher body, is going to be less corrupt than an organisation that has a multiplicity of eyes and views all over it? I mean, have you heard of the thing called MP's expenses? I mean, did that make the news in Greenwich, Anthony? I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. How about the lobbying scandal? That thing that David Cameron mentioned in passing, almost like he made an accident by saying it out loud. After the MP's expenses, David Cameron said the next big scandal is going to be lobbying. And then we heard not one word about it from that moment onwards, as though he'd realised his mistake and then shut up about it promptly.
I think this is nonsense.
Yeah, it's still going on, though. No wrong with the EU elite. Well, you think there's nothing wrong with our elite? How come so many people from Eton keep being elevated to prime positions in the government? Think it's a coincidence? This says, there is no proof of climate change. Noah had flooding. What on earth does that mean? For A, there is proof of climate change, and B, the Noah thing was just a story, wasn't it? Jason said, every time you're on the radio, I have my back to you. You never complained about that. Well, this is this story about the shenanigans of the Brexit Party. Ugh, I mean, talk about embarrassing. The Brexit Party's European adventure got off to a typically childish and publicity-desperate start on Tuesday as its MEPs arrived for the start of the new European Parliament session and turned their backs as the EU anthem was played. The 29 politicians elected in May deliberately turned away as Beethoven's Ode to Joy was played in the parliamentary building in Strasbourg. And then Foghorn Farage had the nerve to say that the EU hierarchy had said that Europe was now a country. You've heard that, right? And he went banging on at that for what seemed like an epoch, long enough to forget that that is not what the European Parliament's outgoing president, Antonio Tajani, said at all. Nigel Farage made up something that he said in order to complain about it. What Antonio Tajani said was that he urged MEPs to show respect by standing for the piece of music. He said, rising to your feet is a question of respect. It doesn't mean that you necessarily share the views of the EU. If you listen to the anthem of another country, you rise to your feet. He used it as an example. He wasn't saying that the EU is a country. And Uncle Nige is bright enough to know that. But also bright enough to know that his most dim-witted fans wouldn't get the subtlety, hadn't heard what Tajani said, which was in Italian anyway, and they wouldn't have cared if they had. It's just another reason to get their knickers in a twist and start foaming at the mouth. It's like they're addicted to anger. You can get addicted to anger. I know that is absolutely true. I dabbled with being addicted to anger myself. It don't do you no good. But it does release that dopamine. It's like, some people see scary movies in order to get their juices flowing, and some people throw themselves out of planes with a parachute on their back, and some people do lion taming, for instance. and other people just get angry. Because when you get angry about something, it starts to release those like stoner chemicals in your mind, like they're doing drugs.
Want to score some pot?
You know, like they're eating cake. What a story that was. Did Zora Sullivan actually say the nurses were off their faces? As in, mental. Yes, and you sense that you know, a little bit of an outburst of anger, and you say, "Oh yeah, that's where that is. I'm going to follow that," and they just get angrier and angrier, and that's where you get just permanently angry people. And there seems to be a lot of that about, surrounded by drug addicts. So Nigel Farage deliberately got the wrong end of the stick. He seems to be permanently on the lookout for the wrong end of the stick because he knows his fans just want something to fume about. He said, "We sat and the President of the Parliament, Mr. Tajani, said it's polite to stand up when the anthem of another nation is playing. He called this place a nation," said Nigel Farage. "So we obeyed his instructions and we did stand up, but we faced the other way." You know, like a child. Okay, well, first of all, way to show your maturity and fitness for office, Nige. And second, it's just not true. Tajani didn't call the EU a nation. He gave an example of politeness. The fact that you stand when an anthem of a country is played. I mean, what other example could he have given? Companies don't have anthems. And when a journalist asked whether standing with your back turned was disrespectful, Nigel Farage went into his routine and he bellowed, "What is disrespectful is to take the ancient nations of Europe and without asking anyone's permission turn it into a country because that's what the President of the Parliament called it this morning." You know, his thing he does. Bouncing his head up and down like one of those dolls that, you know, those dogs that used to sit on the back shelf of cars. Farage says it's really disgraceful and I'm not going to stand to attention for this anthem. No way. And it might be disgraceful if it had happened, but it didn't. Uncle Nige purposefully misunderstood in order to have something else to do his rage act about, as though he needs anything else. I mean, the whole thing was a gimmick. Pretty much like every time he turns up to the EU Parliament. He'll fly in on a private jet perhaps, stage some carefully prepared stunt speech for YouTube, insult everyone so it goes viral, and exits quick sharp, while being careful to submit his expenses and collect his salary. And just for the record, the Lib Dems, by the way, in their bollocks to Brexit t-shirts, didn't do their reputation any good either. But at least they didn't have an unhinged, squawking harridan from reality television as their star speaker. Do we have to be run by numpties at home and abroad?
Yes.
Apparently so. Mayank says, "Barbara, that nice lady that I was talking to some while ago, is proof your Brexit and Boris circus is worse than anything happening here in America." Well done, Britain, he says. It's been a very entertaining 3 seasons, but the storyline of every episode is getting old. Time to cancel the series and move along. America's just cancelled us. You believe that? Bell says, slightly off topic, but did you watch any of Kylie's Glastonbury gig? Wasn't she marvellous? No, I didn't. And I don't know anything about it, but it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion, and I very much doubt that she was marvellous in any way, shape or form. I had the misfortune of seeing her on TV on some thing, and I can't be certain, but I think it was the woman that took over A.A. Gill's TV column in the Sunday Times. I think she called her, and if I've got this wrong, then I apologise to her, because I think she's a fine writer. But I think she called Kylie Minogue an emotionless robot, which is completely correct in every respect. An emotionless Madonna wannabe of no discernible talent of any kind whatsoever. I mean, really, just point to the talent. I should be so lucky, 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 lucky. Oh, for crying out loud. No, I didn't watch any of Kylie's gig. Do I sound like a 12-year-old girl to you?
No.
No, I did not watch Kylie. Crying out loud. I did watch a little bit the Chemical Brothers, though. I watched about 30 minutes. And after that, I found it a little bit hard to get into it because there's no getting around it. Those guys aren't doing anything, are they? Two guys come on stage, the Chemical Brothers. I think they just press the button marked start, and then their show starts. And then they pretend to do something. And they're twiddling knobs that presumably take the treble up and then the bass down, and they'll do that, and they're up there for an hour and a half, pretending to do something. But they're not doing anything. And you can tell that they're not doing anything because the visuals are locked on to the music. So they're not affecting the length of the songs, they're not affecting the timing of the songs, they're not affecting when the singing starts or the breakbeat starts or the bridge begins and ends. They're not affecting anything because the visuals are in perfect harmony with the music. And after a while I thought, yeah, I mean, it's entertaining hearing that music really loud, and the visuals were quite good, but you couldn't really see them because of the numpties with the flags. I don't mean to bring in a note of negativity, but the numpties with the flags should be killed. Like on the spot. They should have some sort of electric, like Tesla generator that shoots out bolts of lightning at the tops of those flags so that the people holding them are reduced to ash. I mean, that doesn't sound too extreme, does it? And it used to be that people had flags there that, were flags of nations or had something about them. But now it looks like somebody's just cut out a bit of a bed sheet and scrawled some stupid thing on it. I'd particularly like to kill the person that had the less frack, more crack flag. What a moron. Or men with ven. What the hell does that mean? Idiots. But of course the camera's far away, so it's photographing the stage through a sea of flags, so you can't really see it very well. So, yeah, so far I've watched about 30 minutes of Glastonbury, but I don't think I missed anything, did I? Not really. How did that excellent Bombay Bicycle Club do?
Let me call you back when I can get you on.
Yeah, okay. You call me back when you can get me on. Not even listening to me. Can you believe that? Or the Downtown Cinema Club, or whatever that was. How are they?
Cinema Club.
Yeah, whatever.
Boring.
No one cares. Unless I'm getting any of this wrong, in which case you must correct me. Otherwise, I'll never know. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
LBC. Good in Britain's Conversation. LBC with Nick Abbott.
I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again.
Yeah, it's a radio show, dear. Keep up. Roger in Brentwood said, the Democratic part you're looking for is both candidates for PM are legitimately elected MPs. No EU president is. But the job of an EU president is not like the job of a prime minister. A prime minister can take the country in their particular chosen direction. But an EU president is just a mouthpiece. An EU president is the representative of the people that have been elected to be our representatives. The two jobs aren't in any way similar. But you must know that, Roger, in Brentwood. I'll assume you being an expert and all. Let's have a call in Slough. Ugh. Evan.
Hi, Nick.
Evan.
I wanted to respond to Barbara. She was basically talking about what was bad, what was bad with having the UK. And I just wanted to say it's true that the financial crisis did encumber us all with debt and austerity. But that's got nothing to do with the EU. That was to do with the housing problems in the US.
Primarily.
The point,
It was the people in the banking racket making sure that they did all right, and to hell with everybody else.
Exactly. So she asked what was good about the EU, and I just wanted to mention just a few things that is good about the EU. And the first is it's a free trade bloc with our neighbours, which are our closest, largest, and most profitable trading nations, bar none. Mm-hmm. It helps protect our human and workers' rights, helping spread those values to countries without those rights, which is very good. The UK is predominantly a service-based economy, and we depend heavily on non-tariff barriers, which is exactly what the EU is. So that's really critical to us. In the last 3 years, the EU just completed trade agreements with Japan, Canada, and Mercosur, which is South America, which was really the big kind of deal about where you could get cheaper food. So that, again, is something we don't want to miss out on. We use a great platform for global trade. It's very hard to compete with distant markets because just trading with America, you try and open a business there, and it's quite tricky. But if you can establish a market in the EU, then you can expand more readily and into those large, distant, and difficult markets. But large trade blocks.
But apart from that, Evan,
the point is there are so many really good reasons. I mean, a large trade block there's less risk, there's less cost, because if China sells into Europe, it doesn't have to work out how much goods it sells into one location, because if it doesn't sell in one area, it just sells in another. That means it's cheaper. It has a standard goods. It has standard rules and standard laws.
Yes, but these are all details. These are all details and facts, Evan, and no one is remotely interested in those anymore.
This is what means jobs. This means higher wages. If you're more efficient and you produce things better with higher technology, that means you just have a better economy. You have Britain, which punches well above its weight.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, but everything that you just said sounds like to a third of the people in this country. They just aren't taking it on board. They don't care.
The being in the EU raises wages. It will raise our wages because real income will rise. Real income means goods will be cheaper, which is why we pay less, which means real income rises.
Yes, Evan, but what about our freedom?
Well, that's full sovereignty is exactly that. You don't have freedom if, for example, the U.S. is bullying you. For example, the U.S. bullied, Mexico? South America is where all the migrants are coming from, but it basically was threatened 25% tariffs on Mexico. Mexico, it wasn't immigrants from Mexico, it was South America.
Donald Trump is doing the exact same thing to the European car industry. And who is a major player in the European car industry? Well, I guess that'll be us then.
Yeah, indeed. But Europe has 500 million people. The US has 330.
Which is why Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin both want to break up the European Union.
Yeah, because they can then start paying us off against each other. Which is what
exactly.
And companies do that. They try and play us off against each other to avoid tax.
Correct.
By being in the EU, we can actually stop that, which is a great thing.
But like I said, all of these are facts, and nobody's remotely interested in those anymore. So please work on your feelings, Evan. Keep up, mate.
Well, I hope at least if Barbara was listening, that she might have at least a couple of ideas there.
Right.
I mean, it's been 3 years. People really do need to have done a little bit more research by now.
Nobody's doing any research. Nobody's interested in facts, and nobody's on receive. Everyone's just on send, Evan. But thanks for the effort. Appreciate it. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Yeah, don't wait for Donald Trump to be a nice person.
Donald Trump is a very nice person.
Oh, well. Maybe we do have some hope. He ain't going to be nice to us. All he's interested in is feeding the drooling yeehaws that go to his safe space rallies. His base, who whoop and cheer every time he said he's going to save coal, it's going to be clean coal, and he's going to bring back steam. All these stupid things he says. And he go, woo! He just speaks in slogans. That's all anybody wants to hear now. 3-word slogans. 4 at most. And it's just the same thing over and over again. Lock her up. He's still going on about Hillary Clinton. Just tell people that you're huge and strong and tremendous. And people will go, yeah, that's right. We want somebody who's huge and strong and tremendous. And who's really, really honest.
I'm a person that wants to tell the truth. I'm an honest person.
He lied. And now we've got our very own Boris Johnson, who's about to be installed.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
As our next Dreer leader. Mike says 10 billion a year is not free trade. What does that mean? 10 billion what a year? It's not free trade. I don't know. Maybe you just picked those letters out of a Scrabble bag. You just threw them together. That's what came out. Thanks for the input, Mike. Gary says, where does this caller get the idea that trade with the EU is tariff-free? We pay £9 billion into the EU's coffers every year for access to that market. That's the tariff we pay on trade with the EU. It's not for the trade. I can't be bothered anymore. Look it up, Gary. I'm not doing your homework for you. Rob says, the flags are handed out by the BBC to make it look cool. It's staged rubbish. There's no way they handed out those poorly made flags. No, that's morons who brought the flags with them. And there is a reason why in the middle of a crowd you'd want to have a flag. It's so that if your mates go out to take a pee or to go and get more beer, they can find you again. So I understand that. But it just got too out of hand. I mean, you only need the flag to be 7 foot high. You can see it from the edge, and you can find somebody if your flag's 7 foot high. But these people have got 30-foot high poles with stupid moronic flags on the end of them, and I just think that the death penalty should be introduced to all of them. That's not a controversial thing to say, is it? I actually thought they were going to do something about that. Security should be like barreling through that crowd to taser them. They should be taking out their truncheons and beating them while they're lying helplessly on the ground. Unless I'm getting carried away, in which case, somebody please stop me. Tammy says, Lewis Capaldi was so good. You should watch his set, Nick. Hilarious intro as well. A wee dig at Noel Gallagher. Lewis Capaldi. I don't know who that is. Who's Lewis Capaldi?
He's a singer.
Of what?
It's a good question.
We don't know. We've got no idea. Did he sing this? I'll assume the answer is no. Well, then I'm not interested then. Vincent says, having a great German beer, listening to you, love and peace. Oh, listening to you, love and peace. Says J. Vincent Edwards from South Germany, where people are nice and polite. Right. Okay, well, no one's interested in love and peace anymore. We're all about hatred now, Vincent. Try to keep up, mate. This says someone you loved was a number one. What does that mean?
That was Lewis Capaldi's number one. I've never heard of it.
No. Still, I'm sure it was excellent in every regard. David Gloucester says, I gave up getting angry over 3 years ago, and then Trump became president, and people voted to leave the EU, and the anger returned with a vengeance. Yeah, well, I can understand that. Just let it wash over you. Of course, the next thing will be a war, but there is no suggestion that Donald Trump will bring us to war.
I'll bring us into war.
Well, I got that wrong too. We're being set up for war with Iran, and I think we've already agreed ahead of time that we're going to be joining in. Didn't Jeremy Hunt say something to that effect? Can't wait to get stuck in. Why? I've got no idea. Donald Trump woke up grumpy one day and just decided to pick a fight with them.
Oh, shut up!
Somebody give him a bucket of food. I mean, you'd be grumpy too if you spent all day lying in bed eating greasy food out of a bucket.
I know a lot about wind.
Yeah, to make me grumpy. Arnold says, whether we benefit being or out, whither we benefit being or out of the EU, I do not know. I do know when we joined the EU, it was economic market. It was a downright lie. A recent document tells the truth that this was only the start of us becoming totally aligned with the eventual federal EU project. Does that make sense?
No.
Not really. But I get it. I don't get it. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. Look at the time. It's 12:30. The news headline.
Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Is he crazy or is that just the way he acts?
0345 6060 973. New Malden. Hello, Duncan.
Hi, Nick.
Duncan.
Hiya. Lewis Capaldi, isn't he Doctor Who?
I've no idea.
Oh, I think so. Anyway, I want to talk about artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Okay. So about 6 months ago, you mentioned, because I, avidly listened to you, you mentioned about artificial intelligence, and you said, all this Brexit rubbish is going to be nothing compared with the tsunami that takes over our country.
Yes.
In artificial intelligence.
Not just our country, the whole of the world.
The whole world. Okay, and you were sort of saying 6 months ago that in 6 months' time, literally, 50% of jobs will be gone.
No, I never said that. In 6 months ago, I said that in 6 months, all of our jobs are going to be gone.
Well, a large percentage of them. And I'm fascinated by that, because, it's interesting what you said, because obviously there is the whole thing about, Uber cars and all this business of, there are certain sectors of the market that will be taken over.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, so at LBC...
I don't know anything about this, but it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion. Go ahead. What?
Sorry? Where you work, how many jobs have gone?
What, in the last 6 months?
Yes. No, well, now, because you said 6 months ago, in 6 months' time...
I don't think there's any evidence that I said 6 months ago that 50% of the jobs would be gone in 6 months. I don't think it was a fact at all, Duncan. I think it's just something that you maybe half heard and misunderstood. I've never said in my life that in 6 months... What an asinine thing for a person to say. In 6 months, 50% of all jobs will go. Nobody has ever said that out loud, because it's a stupid thing to say.
Well, I'm interested in facts, as you said. Who's interested in facts? I'm interested in facts. So, you talk about...
You seem to have a parlous relationship with facts, Duncan.
No, okay. You talk about facts. You seem worried about the value of the pound.
Yeah, well, so should you be. It's dropped about between 15 and 20% since the referendum.
Okay, cool. So what was the value of the pound in relation to the euro prior to the referendum, and what is it now?
Do you have access to the internet?
No, I'm asking you.
No, do you have access to the internet?
Well,
you want me to do your homework for you?
No,
These are questions that you can look up, Duncan. Do us a favour. A recent employment outlook from the organisation... by the way, it's indisputable that is the case. Just look it up and you will see the truth of it.
What are the facts?
I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I do know that it's between 15 and 20%.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, those are the facts. I can't be any more specific than that. I don't know how much more specific I could possibly be. You want me to tell you the precise figure before the referendum and its current value against the euro now? I don't have those figures to hand, Duncan, which would be unsurprising for you. But if you really want to look it up, I'm preventing you from doing that. I would predict that somewhere in your home there's a screen that will be connected by a wire to a box that you can turn on and off, and it in turn will be connected to a telephone wire that goes out into the world and brings in information. And if such a thing is not available in your home, Duncan, then maybe someone should invent it. We could call it the internet. God, all these people with stupid questions. Just look it up. A recent employment outlook from the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development a coalition consisting of 36 countries around the world, estimates within the next 2 decades, 14% of jobs will be completely automated, and 32% of jobs will be vastly different from what they look like now. And a computer will tell you that 14 and 32 is 46, which is nearly half. Nearly half of all current jobs are about to be terminated by a robot.
Correct.
I wish that guy was terminated by a robot. The OECD says one question rises above all others. Are we ready? Answer?
No.
Of course not. Not on your Nelly. We're busy with more important stuff like Brexit and 5G mobile phones and whether Man City will win the title again next year and complaining about climate change activists. Climate change activists. Boo! Boo to those people who are trying to save our world. So yes, it's coming, but nobody ever said it was going to be in the next 6 weeks. 6 months, I mean. Which would make as much sense as saying it's going to be in the next 6 weeks. Duncan, seriously, you sound like an intelligent fella. Why would an intelligent fella say such asinine things? Oh, well, it's an absolute fact, this is. Many jobs are going to be changed or eliminated, and the OECD says that the shift won't necessarily equate to less overall jobs for workers, because we'll have new and improved technology, which will also come with new and improved jobs, which will require new skills. And how are we doing on training people in the new skills that they're going to be needing in the future?
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, that's right. Really badly. Because nobody's paying attention to any of this. This is a vast tsunami of change that's coming our way, and our unelected leaders aren't doing a blind thing about it. Presumably, I expect, because they think that it's got nothing to do with them, and in the future they won't be in that job, so they aren't going to be in a position to get blamed for it. Plus, they'll be just fine. Don't you worry about them. 6 out of 10 adults have no information and communications technology experience at all. 6 out of 10 currently. And that is where all the jobs are going to be created, you'd assume, unless we're all just going to be slaves to robots. To ensure that workers eclipsed by robots and other technology can pivot into a new career, the OECD says that a robust adult training program is critical. Anybody started on one of those yet?
Negative.
No. And it may not only involve training older workers, but also to ease the economic impact of mass automation. Some people are proposing what is known as a universal basic income. Have we even contemplated such a thing? No, we haven't. And furthermore...
No.
So there's a giant change on the way, and we're not doing a bloomin' thing about it. Apart from picking apart... oh, well, you said that 6 months ago. It looks like that. Painful. I'm actually in pain right now.
Stop whining.
0345 6060 973. That guy waited 45 minutes to tell me that. You know, 6 months ago, and you said, no, I didn't. I never said anything of the sort. I think you're disseminating misinformation. Liar! Yeah. Plus, what kind of an ass would say such a thing? 50% of all jobs are going to be gone in 6 months. Nobody has ever said that. I mean, didn't it occur to you that you might not have that quite right? Apparently not. Completely convinced that he's totally right. Jimmy says, cab drivers should get a percentage of your show's dollars because we advertise your show to our customers. Do you? Oh, you mean you have it on in the cab? whether they like it or not. You move off and those back doors lock and they can't get out. And then you put me on. Neil tweets, we'll all be fine. Just watch the EU tremble before us when we have our blue passports. That's right, we're going to have our blue passports. Then they'll be sorry. It says, I'm sorry I can't call. I'm 17 and will wake up my entire family. What do you think of the argument that we have always been able to deal with increasing automation? We didn't worry when washerwomen lost their jobs to washing machines. Surely there will always be avenues for people to go down. Yes, but we'll need training. That's the thing, is that the new jobs that are coming up will be highly skilled and technical, because all the ones that aren't are about to be taken over by robots.
Affirmative.
That's the point of the revolution that's coming our way. All the unskilled jobs, the repetitive jobs, the ones that most people do, they're going. It's the more highly skilled jobs that are going to be made available to us, because all the grunt work, that's going to be done by robots. I mean, good thing too. Who wants to spend their life doing grunt work? Being on a factory production line, just screwing a cog 90 degrees to the left all day, every day, on and on and on. Nobody wants to do that. Dirty and dangerous work, all that's going to be done by a bot.
Correct.
So we're going to have to get skilled up. And how's that going so far?
Dreadful.
Yes, skilling up the workforce for the future that's barrelling down upon us just around the corner. Nobody's doing a blooming thing about it. I mean, what is Boris Johnson's plan in that regard, by the way? How about Jeremy Hunt? What's he going to do about it? What have they promised? Tax cuts for the rich, and that's it. Oh, he's going to put bobbies on the beat. Even policemen are complaining about that. There was a police person that said that Boris Johnson might not necessarily be right. But, you know, it's not that they're right. It's not that they're even concerned about being right. It's just getting that 0.3% of white, male, middle-aged, well-off Conservative Party members to buy whatever snake oil it is they're selling. We're going to give you more money. The sky is going to be bluer under my premiership. Vote for me. What a way to run a country. Luke says, do alien news again. What's that? What's alien news?
I don't know. I assumed it was something you'd done before.
Well, maybe, yeah, but I don't listen to this show. The host is an idiot. At least we can agree on that. Let me remind you about my podcast. It's called the Nick Abbot Habit. If you download Global Player, which is our app from the App Store of your choice, then you'll find it's one of the podcasts on that excellent service. If you don't do that kind of thing on your phone, then if you have an internet, then you'll find it by asking for it by name. The Nick Abbot Habit. It's a half an hour of amusement. It's the best of this show. And some of the calls that I've had so far this evening are definitely going to make it on there. If not next week, then certainly in subsequent podcasts to come. The Nick Abbot Habit. Ask for it by name.
Is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late.
Here's calling Tottenham. Hello, Saul.
Oh, hello.
Yes, Saul.
Oh, sorry. Nick, you keep everyone holding on for so long. No wonder people lose their thread.
Yes, sorry about that. It's all my fault. I take full responsibility. He's complaining about being made to wait too long.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
I mean, the last guy waited 45 minutes, but anyway. But anyway, I love your show.
Thanks.
I'd like to hear more callers. But
Right.
then I do like listening to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just thinking, look.
Oh, God, he's got a request. I'll get Anne-Marie Minhall on the phone and she'll take your request.
I think you've got. I just want to hear you try and find a positive in leaving, because we've just got to leave.
we just want Brexit.
No. We can't have enough of the referendum because it doesn't work with our democracy. So we'll be in exactly the same place.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
Well, because we got constituency democracy, so we can't have a referendum. It doesn't make any sense to have another referendum. We'll just come back to the
it didn't
same
make
place.
any sense to have the first referendum.
Yeah, but therefore we can't have another one because it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. We can't keep on, you know.
If it's the only way to break the parliamentary deadlock, then will you tell me another way?
No, because that won't break the parliamentary deadlock because it's not to do with parliamentary politics. It's not to do with constituency politics. So we'll just end up going around the full circle. And
well, then the only other way is to have a general election and hope that one party that has a positive policy on this issue gets a majority. But that's probably not going to happen either.
We can't have a general election because the general election will just be about leaving because there's all sorts of people knocking at the door that want to sort of do that. So everyone's so incensed by it now. Unfortunately, we've just got to leave. I'm a Remainer, but we've got to leave. And so basically, Nick, you've got to find. I mean, is there any way we could just find a possible way through positive about leaving? Because I think I'm defeated.
In other words, you've been beaten into submission by people yelling at you.
Yeah, but also by you moaning. I mean, I just feel like there's got to be a positive because I've got to look for something.
Well, tell me what it is.
Well,
you've had 3 years to figure it out. What is it?
Right. Okay. Here's my positives. I think that as we're a large economy, it's going to be, it's going to be a good thing since we're sort of a nation of self-employed people. It's going to be good. Everyone's going to be inspired to go out there, and I reckon we'll get more trade. So
more trade? Where's the more trade going to come from? What is it that we're going to buy or sell that we don't already buy and sell?
Maybe it will inspire us to just do something different.
Or going to invent new things?
I don't know. But, we have to take a leaf out of the Boris thing here. I believe.
Oh, God.
Why not? Let's just do it.
You're just trolling me now. Back under your bridge, troll. I don't know. Was there more? Is it actually worth taking more of that call? I mean, is that all you've got? We're going to invent new stuff?
I've got more. Maybe we will be forced to not take the easy option of outsourcing from abroad. Maybe we'll have to focus a little bit more in about putting more money in here, and people maybe buy into the fact that more taxes need to come in to put more investment into the country.
Well, good luck with that. You're going to run on a position of taxing the public more.
No, but there will be a zeitgeist to want to do it.
Oh my God!
That's my thought.
That sounds like he's using German words at me now.
What else is there? I'm trying to think of something. The thing is, all my work, I work with people from all parts of Europe. So it's really tricky for me. And my wife's Italian. But I just got to think, there's got to be something.
Well, let me know when you come up with it. But so far we've got, we're bound to invent something that we can sell to the world that isn't buying it already. Well, that's something to base the future of this country on. Good work, mate. 0345 6060 973. We're doomed. Jeff in Hampstead says, Anne Widdecombe's speech in Strasbourg resembled a demented, squawking, screeching parrot and gives my 6-year-old son nightmares every time it comes on the news. He just points to the TV and shouts, "Crazy woman." Well, that's rude, but he's got a point. I mean, it's just... If you want to be really alarmed... James says, have you been avidly watching some of the tennis games? No, I have not. I don't care. I'm surprised that anybody does. I think you're trying to make yourself care. Tennis. I mean, is anybody actually bothered about the tennis?
No.
I very much doubt it. I mean, who's even in tennis now? I bet if I went into the street and offered £1,000, people would not be able to tell me who the top 3 men's and the top 3 women's players are. Do you know?
Let me Google it.
Exactly. I bet the people don't even know who the top woman player is. Have you got any idea? Not a clue. I only know that the top men's player is Roger Federer, because he's been number one for what seems about 50 years now. I haven't been interested in tennis since the era of when tennis was actually interesting. Jimmy Connors and Bjorn Borg and Elina Stasi and all that lot. Actual characters, you know. Apparently, number one is Djokovic. Oh, he's great.
Boring.
Yeah, how about Timmy? Come on, Timmy. Is he still there? No, I guess not. How about the Miserablest? I just want to see how great it is to be at Wimbledon. Yeah, I'm really, really having a great time at Wimbledon. And of course, if my playing doesn't work out, I can always become a pundit on the television, because that would be really interesting for the people to listen. And I really thank all my fans. I love my fans, apart from the English. I really hate the English. It's a fascinating sport. Aura says, is it true that Jeremy Hunt wants to make fox hunting legal? Why? No more urgent matters on his agenda? Is it so that he'll get more votes from members of his party? Yes, that's right.
Affirmative.
Correctamundo. It's just them telling a vanishingly small, totally unrepresentative number of people, the 0.3% of the population, anything they want to hear, which is mostly tax cuts for millionaires, and you can all saddle up. What a way to run a country, eh?
Dreadful.
Awful. Ron says, you haven't really had much of a rant about this glorious weather that we've been having. For 2 days in a row, I've had the top down on my car. A first for me, says Ron. P.S. I hope your old car is still holding out for you. Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Ron, but I don't wish to discuss it. My old car, my 20-year-old car, is working just fine. The car that I bought to replace it, because I thought my old car had died, has been broken from the moment that I bought it, and is still in about 63,000 bits in a garage, waiting for the word that somebody is going to pay for it. I think I'd like to set fire to it, actually. And if it wasn't on somebody else's property, I might have done that already. John in Cheam says, you're jealous. Jelous. Close. You're jealous because we love Trump, we love Farage, and we love Boris, and they are very popular, says John in Cheam. Huh. Well, you sound like one of their fans.
I love the poorly educated.
Keith says, I can hear the Monkeys singing the Brexit song, Daydream Believer. Nick says, nutty caller to this show thinks that we should leave the EU because things are so bad now. No evidence given that things will get better. Well, nobody's interested in evidence anymore. Don't be looking for evidence. We're all about feelings now, baby. No one's interested in facts. Facts are D-U-L-L.
Boring.
Giles says, been away for a few days, haven't seen much news. Which party has Chucker Amuna joined this week? Get Chucker on the phone. Let's have a call in Luton. Anthony.
Hi. Good evening, Nick. I used to be a heavy goods lorry driver for a firm that used to shift spare parts for Fords, Vauxhalls, and a few other companies in this country to Germany and to Belgium and all that. And everything used to be absolutely chock-a-block with people working on the big giant machines making panels and stuff like that. You see them now. The place is like a graveyard.
It's like a ghost town.
Automatic.
If only the specials were here, they'd be singing it for us. Yeah, it's like a ghost town now. It's all automatic.
Affirmative.
Yeah, and that's just the start. It's just the start, Anthony. Sadly, it's just the end of this programme. But thanks for the input. Appreciate it. Now, whatever happens between now and 10 o'clock this evening, it just boggles my mind contemplating it. But whatever it is, we'll chew it up and we'll spit it out then, eh? Don't forget the podcast, which is the best of this programme. It's a half an hour of amusement. It's called the Nick Abbott Habit, and I think you will love it. How many texts have I not read out? Oh, just pages of them. Apologies. I am very, very sorry.
I am very sorry that I screwed up. I mean, I am so sorry. You just don't know how sorry I am. I'm sorry.
Yes, I apologise. If you stick around, it's the best of Steve Allen at 5 o'clock, but right now it's Matt Stadler.
Nick, have you heard?
Well, I have actually, yes.
Well, let me fill you in just in case you haven't heard what I'm thinking.
No, I've heard it already. This would just be repeating it now.
What have you heard?
Everything.
Let me just tell you this, because this is part of everything. Donald Trump, the President of the United States...
That.
Yes, you heard that. He thought that there were airports in 18th century America.
Yeah.
And then when he tried to explain... when he tried to explain why he made such a boo-boo, he said at first it was the teleprompter's fault, but then he realised that made it look as though he needed the teleprompter. So then he said he didn't need the teleprompter, and then his excuse, well, it went up in flames. I thought it was really a new low in the public sphere, Nick.